Hi there. So I have a problem. Notice that my zombie goes halfway off the screen right there before it bounces. I kind of want it to bounce right when its arm hits the edge of the screen, not when its arm is halfway off the screen. So first, what causes that problem? It's this image mode center, right? So my zombie right now is being displayed with this X and Y coordinate representing the center of the image. So if you notice, it's gonna bounce when the center of the image hits the edge of the screen. It's not really what I'm going for. I kind of want like the zombie's left arm to be what triggers the bounce. And so I'm going to have to tinker with like what I consider the edge of the screen, because I want to continue to draw. It's still useful to draw the zombie at its center point. And so this 400 I'm going to have to tinker with to get it, you know, like I don't really want it to bounce when it gets to the edge of the screen. I kind of want it to bounce when the center gets almost to the edge of the screen, because then the elbow will be at the edge of the screen. So if we decrease this number to like 300, then it'll bounce before it hits the edge of the screen. Well, that time it didn't go far enough. So let's increase that to 350. Now it's going to get even closer to the edge, and before it bounces, yeah, it's a little bit better. How about 360? And so this is the process that you go through basically. Oh, it didn't quite hit the edge, so we want to get to like 370. You know, here we are, just sort of. That was a better bounce. I kind of like 370, right? And now I can speed it up because I don't need it going that slowly. And boom, we get a much nicer bounce this way. So we get this nicer bounce. The bad bounce comes from the fact that we're paying attention to the center of the zombie image, and what we really want is to bounce when the center hits something close to the edge of the screen, but not all the way over to the edge of the screen. Now, that was a little bit of hack, like to do it trial and error like that. That was felt kind of hacky. And so turns out, which is handy, instead of guessing this number or trial and erroring this number, there's a way we can actually find out the width of the zombie. And so if you imagine the center point is right in the middle, then we want it to bounce when the center point, it's half the width that we care about. We want it to bounce when the center point gets like half the width away from the edge of the screen. So I just want to demonstrate how we can see this, how we can find that width. I'm going to print in my function here the zombie x dot width. So zombie x dot width. Oh, not zombie x. Sorry, that's the coordinate. Zombie is the image, right? So the width of the image is what I'm going to print here. And notice where that prints. It's going to print at the bottom of the screen down here in my console. That's a handy place to have the like just for debugging. The users, you know, your game players are not going to see that. That's just for you. And so what we're concerned with is half the width. So we can do zombie width /2, which means divided by 2. So half the width gives us 40. Oh, that's a little off from where we were going here. That would mean that we want to bounce when the center gets to 360. And all right. Now, a lot of these images actually have some like border built into them, some like transparent border built into them. So I think that's what we're running into here is 360 doesn't look like it's at the edge. 370 looks a little more like it's at the edge. But I wanted to show you this method of instead of having to guess, of just sort of like algorithmically determining what the center point is. So we can take this print statement, and up here, instead of hard coding, we can do 400 minus whatever zombie width, whatever half the zombie was, half the zombie width is. And that should give us this idea of bouncing at when the center point gets close to the edge, but not quite to the edge. And there's also another wonderful built-in variable. You've seen mouse X and mouse Y as built-in variables, right? Well, just straight up the word width is also a built-in variable. It's the width of the canvas. So that 400 is my width of my canvas. If I can just write width here instead of a 400, and now it'll every time it sees the word width, it'll check what this width was that I assigned when I created the canvas. So I can make it smaller and it will still work. I can make it super skinny, 250, and it will still work. Boom, right? So height is another built-in variable that will return the Y value, the height of the canvas, which was 400 in this case. And so last point I'll make here is just that when this, we decided like this was, because the image has like a little transparency on the side of it, that this was not quite what we were going for. It was close, but not quite. So here's where we can maybe just add some sort of boundary value to this. Like there was probably about like a buffer border of 10 or so of transparency in that. And so that gives us a nicer looking bounce. Okay, so this is how you go about solving the idea of bouncing, not when the belly button gets to the center, but when the belly button gets the center, gets close to the edge of the canvas.